Good morning, folks. Before I head off to work, I just want to spend a few minutes talking to you about this statement, a rising tide lifts all boats. So people ask me, where does that statement come from? So what I've learned is that actually it was made popular or it was used a lot by a guy named John F. Kennedy. Now, a lot of people are attributing that line not to Kennedy himself, but maybe to his speechwriter, Theodore Sorensen. We don't know. But the point that I'm making here is that the WNBA, and in large part, the Indiana Fever, fails to grasp the meaning behind that statement. And that statement is that Caitlin Clark has revolutionized not just women's basketball, but is in the process of revolutionizing women's sports. And rather than downplaying Caitlin Clark's greatness and what she means to the game, these teams should be capitalizing on it. It's totally absurd. You've had Kathy Engelbert make comments like, well, it's never just about one player. Well, you know what? I disagree with that, because for every generation in every sport, there's always one player that brings in new people to the sport. Always. It's never about the league, and it's never about the teams. Okay? It is about the greats that come into the game, the Bill Russells, the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons, the Michael Jordans, the Steph Currys. Steph Curry revolutionized basketball. He changed the sport. Okay? Larry Bird, in his time, revolutionized basketball. He was simply, and I say this to this day, the most complete player the NBA has ever had. A man who could do exactly what Caitlin Clark is doing right now for the women's game. She can rebound. She can block shots. She shoots from downtown. She shoots from in town. She is an elite passer. She is changing the face of the game. And instead of getting on board with this, they are downplaying her so they don't offend other people. Well, I'm going to tell you something. The Boston Celtics built their team around Larry Bird when he came out of college. They didn't apologize for any of it. They surrounded him with Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale, made them the deadliest front court in the NBA. Okay? Right now, the Indiana Fever has a dynamic duo of Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark. That is the deadliest pick and roll and the deadliest front offense in the NBA. And instead of using them for that, they have Caitlin Clark playing small forward and Aaliyah Boston bringing the ball up. I don't understand any of that. I think it's nonsense, okay? But this is my point. When Caitlin Clark finished off last year after the Fever got knocked out of the playoffs, she was interviewed in a post-game, meet up with the press. And Aaliyah Boston was sitting there with her. And they asked her what she was going to do in the off season. And her answer, and it was sarcasm, was become a professional golfer. So what happened? The LPGA saw an opportunity and they took it, unlike the WNBA, who has her sitting right in their house. Caitlin Clark was invited to play in the Annika Pro-Am last year. Okay? It was a win-win. It was a win-win for her, and it was a win-win for the Ladies Professional Golf Association. Okay? Once her participation was announced, the Golf Channel expanded their TV coverage for that event, and ticket sales rose 1,200%. She appeared on a roundtable with other women professional athletes. She played with Annika on one of the during one of the events, and this whole thing is a boon to women's sports in general. Now, to be fair, Caitlin Clark's not a bad golfer. She played every sport imaginable growing up, and she played with the brothers. And she played with basketball on the boys' team because they couldn't find a girls' team for her. But she was funny in her commentary when she said, you know, I mentioned I wanted to be a professional golfer. I wasn't really being serious, but now I've set myself up for failure. And it was pretty humorous. The bottom line here is that Caitlin Clark is a great ambassador for women's sports. All right. She doesn't indulge in shit talk. She doesn't talk down about other players. She certainly does not play dirty. Okay. She plays hard. And, you know, she may give hard fouls when she's going for the ball, because that is indeed part of basketball. But the knees to the stomach, the body slams, the eye pokes, the bouncing her off the court after the whistle blows and there's no game in progress, that shit is not part of the game. And we're not going to discuss that today. We'll discuss that in another video because I'm pulling together clips so I can show them. But the bottom line is that Caitlin Clark is the golden goose here, folks. All right, she's the golden goose. She's a genuinely good person. She respects the other players in the league. Even when they are insulting her, she never talks down about them. She never retaliates. She's just above all of that garbage. And yet, neither the WNBA nor the Indiana Fever Brass can figure that out. And hopefully, someday, they will before it's too late, because Caitlin Clark is not going to sit around and wait for the opportunities to come to her. She has never done that. She will make those opportunities for herself. I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day.